All right, it's Friday night, and I'm home alone. Connor's out of town for a couple days, so it's just gonna be me and the dog here for the weekend, and I thought that this would be a great chance for me to do my own little 48-hour readathon where I like really push it and try to, like, I will sleep, but I mean, I'm gonna try to really read so much this weekend, and I'm gonna read, hopefully, I mean, is this gonna work? I wanna read 3 books for the Magical Readathon. If you don't know, the Magical Readathon was created by G from Book Roast, and it's an ongoing readathon. I don't really know what it's gonna look like later, but for this month, for all of September, it is the Novice Path Journey to Aurelium, I think is what it's called. And the readathon that's happening this month is a journey that we're all taking to get to this magical school, and then presumably the next readathon, which will be happening I think in April next year, will be like our first year at school. And I don't know, I think there's like a competitive aspect to it. I know that there has been a similar readathon to this happening in the past, but I never participated in that, and I haven't watched anything about it. I don't know what that was about, but I know what this one is about, at least for this month. So there are 7 main prompts for this readathon, and then there are a couple of extra character creation prompts, but she has said that we don't really necessarily need to have our characters created until the next phase of the readathon in April, so I'm just not going to worry about those right now. I'm just going to try to do all 7 of the prompts for the Novice Path, and she said you only need to complete 2, but I'm going to try to do all 7. We'll see. And of course, I'm trying to kind of smush all of these into prompts that are going to work for my Tic Tac TBR game this month, but honestly, that, you know, that'll just work itself out. So I'm gonna run you through the prompts really quick in case you don't know. I'm linking the announcement video, which has the Discord and the Twitter and like everything about this readathon down below, so if you don't know about it and you want to know about it, I'll post it, but I don't actually know when I'm posting this vlog, so it may be kind of late in the game, but whatever. Tons of links down below if you want to know what the heck I am talking about. Like I said, I want to try to do 3 of these prompts this weekend, and the best way that I think I can do that is by first picking an audiobook so that I can still be working on a book when I am like walking the dog, and also when I don't want to stare at a page any longer. And so for that, I already have from Libby The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, and this is the 3rd book in her trilogy. I don't know what the trilogy is called, but The Kiss Quotient, The Bride Test, and now The Heart Principle. And I'm really excited about this, and I actually had a different audiobook that I was going to use for this, but then I was just like bopping around on Libby, as you do, not Libby, Hoopla, because I knew that I was not gonna be able to get The Heart Principle for like ages, and I actually looked and there's 1 copy at my library and 560 people waiting on it. So I'm sure they'll get more copies and that wait will go down, but anyway, I got the audiobook on Hoopla. I was like, I was so shocked to see it just like right there for the taking, so I took it. So I'm really excited to listen to that. It's a romance. I think it's about a violinist and one of the characters from the other books, because that's how they're all, you know, connected. I don't remember which one, but he has a motorcycle. So that's gonna be my book that keeps tempting you. But then we've got a lot of the prompts are really open-ended, which is like good and bad. It's good because, you know, you can kind of make whatever work, but it's bad because it's like most books that I'm thinking of could work for more than one, and I'm like, where do I put you? What if I, you know, I've been overthinking this for no reason for days. So the first book that we're gonna read is Portrait of Dorian Gray. I'm gonna start that. It's almost 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna start it tonight at 8, and then the readathon will go from Friday night at 8 p.m. to Sunday night at 8 p.m. because Sunday night I actually have a couple of friends coming to stay with me for a few days, so I need to be done with this when they arrive. And also I want to start right now, so I'm going to. But I'm going to start with The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I am going to use for my spooky ghost haunted kind of book. I don't know that much about the book. I know the concept is Dorian Gray like makes a deal with the devil or something, and he is like eternal youth, but he has this portrait that just like gets uglier and horribler and like evil maybe. But I think he just like hides it or something. So I guess I'll find out more about that when I read it any second now. And that's also a book that has been on my 30 by 30 list, so we'll be glad to knock that off. And for my TikTok TBR, I think I can put that in for TBR Vet because that has been on my TBR for a long time. In any case, I'm gonna start Dorian Gray right now. I'm gonna read until it is very late, and that's what we're doing. And I will touch base with you again when I have a better grasp on what's going on. But for now, I have to go. Okay, it's Saturday. It's like 10:30 in the morning. I listened to a little bit of The Heart Principle while I walked the dog and made coffee and cleaned up a little bit. And then since then I've been reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. So I'm about halfway done with that now, and I will talk about it. First of all, the premise. I mentioned, you know, deal with the devil, enchanted portrait. Only about half of that is true, I would say. So we have Dorian Gray and his painter friend and his painter friend's other friend, Henry. And I'm saying friend the way that tabloids say gal pal, by the way. So the painter, Basil, does a portrait of Dorian Gray, and he's obsessed with Dorian. He's like so infatuated. He's like, my art has new meaning because I can look upon you. You're so beautiful. And I'm so obsessed with you. He does this portrait, and Dorian is like, kind of like, has a weird reaction. He's kind of like, oh, this is cool. But then he's like, oh my God, like, this portrait is like a picture of me as I am now, but I'm going to age and never be this beautiful again, and the portrait is always going to look like this. Like, wow, I wish it were the other way around. And unbeknownst to him, how are you supposed to say that word? He doesn't realize until later that that's actually happening. Instead, he sort of strikes up a deeper friendship with Henry, and sort of leaves Basil in the dust, because Henry is a lot more fun. And there is so much discussion of like morality and beauty and like art, which I think is very of the times. And Dorian does something kind of cruel to someone and finds that the painting now reflects that. The portrait of him looks a little bit meaner than it did before. And he's like, oh my God. And he remembers that conversation about having said, oh, I wish that, you know, none of my sorrows or whatever's will show upon my face, and instead would show upon the portrait's face. And so they are. So he is able to now like go through his life without worry that his actions are going to have consequences up on his youthful beauty, which is all that matters, right? And that sort of behavior really scares Basil, but Henry, I think, you know, likes it and is like, this is fun, this is good, this is what we should do. So I'm not sure where this is going to go. It had a really long setup, I will say, and I find it very hard to believe that back in the day, people were really soliloquizing like all the time. Like they're like anything that anybody says to anybody else in this book and in a lot of like the other classics, it just is so long. It's not a conversation. It's you are giving a speech to me, and then I'll give a speech back. Or maybe I won't, and you'll give me a second speech. I am enjoying sort of the unsettling tones of this in the way that they talk about like the importance of beauty and how like art is. But I mean, first of all, there was some anti-Semitism that I was not prepared for. I did not expect to find that here, and maybe that's on me for just not knowing that, or maybe like, I don't know, just weird. And then like, is this just because these are three presumably gay men? Like the the homoerotic tones are certainly there. Gal pals, like I said. And the result of that, maybe, is that, like, the way that they speak about women and treat women is horrendous. And I don't know if that's meant to just, like, emphasize the gay stuff. Not that it's, like, explicitly gay, but, you know? Or basically I can't decide if I'm offended by all of that or if I think that it's, like, kind of a fun emphasis. I don't know. Anyway, I think that G is running sprints right now on her YouTube channel, so I'm gonna go read with my computer on while a bunch of other people read with their computer on. Okay, so it is like 4 o'clock on Saturday, and I just finished Picture of Dorian Gray. And I feel kind of meh about it, to be honest. It definitely had its moments, but it got a bit bogged down for me with, like, there was a whole chapter, I think, that was just listing various jewels, various, like, you know, precious jewels and, like, how they had been worn. And then there was a whole, like, list of just, like, precious fabrics, like textile arts, like weavings and embroideries and, you know, embellished fabrics, and just like a huge list of them. And then it moved on to other stuff, and I understand the purpose of those lists for the story as a way to sort of track Dorian's, you know, mental state, but I was like, just, I don't know. I started to, like, space out a little bit as I was reading them, because I was like, okay, I don't know. Like I said, I get why that was included as far as what it was supposed to do for me, but I don't know, I just was like, huh? I guess not as spooky as maybe I was anticipating, but definitely, like, ugh. Because Dorian's sins and what have you don't reveal themselves on his youthful, perfect, boyish face and only on his portrait, like, it seems like he is maybe more inclined to do nastier and nastier things because he seems like someone who's so pure, so it's easy for him to get away with things and even to shock people with the kinds of, like, monstrosities that he's capable of doing. That kind of flips, and instead of, you know, maybe wanting to know how far he can push it, he starts to lose his mind a little bit. In a lot of ways, this is just a more complex version of the Telltale Heart, as far as symbolism goes. But yeah, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Anyway, now I'm about to take a nice long walk with the dog and listen to another chunk of The Heart Principle, which I listened to a little bit so far today, and I am really enjoying it, of course. I knew I would. And then when I get back, I will start my next book. Which book is it gonna be? Here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. I think that for my book with the school setting, for the Aurelium Academy arc, I want to read The Poppy War, which I believe takes place at, like, a military academy, at least partially. And I don't think the rest of the series is set in the same place, but, like, at least in this one, our main character is attending, like, an elite military school. So, set in a school. However, long. This does not look it, but it is 530 pages. So, like, what are the odds that I'm actually gonna read that many pages before tomorrow night? basically, like, I'm dying to read this, and I was so excited to find a used copy of it, like, just waiting for me, paperback. Like, honestly looks a lot smaller than the white editions of the paperbacks. Like, those are intimidating, but this one seems so manageable, even though it's still 500 pages. So yeah, I really want to read it, but I don't know that I'll be able to finish it, but I think I'm just going to do it anyway and just try to finish it. And if I don't, I don't, and it's fine. Because the alternative would be for me to grab a standalone, or, I mean, I have 2 mysteries that are like 300 pages long, 350, so that would be something I could definitely read before Sunday night. I don't know, I really want to read this, so I'm going to. It's about, I think, a young-ish, I mean, why do I have to say she's young? A girl named Rin who shocks everyone by being a very talented warrior and getting accepted to this military academy. And there is, you know, sexism, classism, and colorism all being used against her at this school. I think she has a bit of a rough time, but she is kicking butt. And then there's something magical also. I don't know what kind of magics happen, but there are magics. I will say more when I know more. How's that? Okay, it's like 9 o'clock on Saturday, so we are now 25 hours in, and I think I am a little bit over halfway through The Heart Principle. I was listening to a bit more of it while I made dinner and stuff, so I guess now is a good time to just like say what it's about. It is the 3rd book in a series by Helen Hoang. All of the books focus on a romance with a main character who is autistic, and this book is about Anna, who is a professional violinist. And okay, the setup is that her boyfriend, her long-term boyfriend, sort of tells her, like, I think you're the one, but I just want to make sure, like, I haven't dated enough people to get engaged to you, so I think we should see other people. And she's like, you mean you're gonna sleep with other people? And he's like, yes. And she's like, and you would be okay if I slept with other people? And he was like, you're not gonna do that. So anyway, she is convinced by her friends to find a one-night stand. And then our love interest, Quan, also is convinced to do a one-night stand by some of his friends because he has recently gone through a medical journey, trauma perhaps, and, you know, I don't know, he needs to get back on the horse. Or is that like a weird thing to say when you're talking about casual sex? Anyway, what is, I think, very timely in this book is that Anna is actually she has not been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, but she is seeing a therapist for some problems that she's having, as you do, and the therapist is kind of like, have you ever thought of that, you know, you might be autistic and whatever. So she kind of is going on this journey of discovery and sort of self-diagnosis. And I think that right now, or in the last like year and a half, there has been like a lot of information being spread over TikTok and Instagram, like maybe more than usual, about autism and other like neurodivergent situations, and that a lot of people who had not considered themselves to be neurodivergent are now maybe open to the possibility that they actually may be and are self-diagnosing. So I think that that is something that's like really happening right now. I think that that's a very timely topic issue, and I think, I don't know, I like that Anna is like exploring that and, you know, dealing with it, and, you know, how do you talk to your family about that, and what do you do? Like that's a huge thing to go through. And then there's also like other stuff going on because it couldn't be simple. So yeah, that's the romance. I really like it so far. I really like Anna. I really like Quan. I liked him in the other books that he was in. Yeah. So that's going great. But the Poppy War is also going great. So I'm 150 pages in. I'm flying. I'm loving it. The book is about Rin, who is an orphan. She's attending this elite academy. There was a whole like studying montage, like Legally Blonde style, but not as like fun or like positive, but it had the same energy, but like not as fun. It was like dark Legally Blonde study montage. Anyway, and she, totally aces the exam or whatever, and then she's at this academy and everyone is like, you're just the token brown girl basically at this academy in the north where everyone is, much lighter skinned than her, and she's poor and she's a girl and there's like only 2 other girls there. It's like a whole thing. So she's really having a rough go of it, and she just keeps having a rougher and rougher go of it, basically. But so far, I like the characters that we're meeting. I like the amount of like political history that is involved, and I think that's something that I've heard a lot of people say about this series, is that it is deeply inspired by and like steeped in Chinese history and various like dynasties and wars and occupations. So it's definitely military heavy. It's called the Poppy War, so there's that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen next, basically, is all there is to it. So I'm gonna take the dog out and then I'm going to curl up in bed and continue reading the Poppy War. So that's where we're at with my second and third book of this 48-hour readathon, and we're just barely past 24 hours, so we'll just see what happens. I'll keep you posted. And can you see him? Oh, are you awake, sweet boy? Do you have a small nose? You have a small nose. Big ear. Boop, boop. Are you ready to go outside, mister? Oh, big stretch. Look at his feet. Okay, that's enough of that. Okay, yes, we're gonna go in a second. I know. I'm at the park with Carbon. I thought it would be a great place to just sit and read, but there are actually 2 different age groups of soccer camp practicing out here, and Carbon desperately wants to be on the team. He can really do a lot with a soccer ball. But I have officially reached the halfway point in the Poppy War. It's almost 11 a.m. on Sunday, and yeah, I've officially halfway done, and I'm having a great time. Today I reached the portion of the story that is no longer the school setting, which is what I understood, that like half the book was at school and then the other half was at war. So we're at the war part now. I like the way that the story's going. I like how many like moving parts there are. I really like a lot of like politics and like machinations in an epic fantasy. That was like maybe the only good thing about Game of Thrones, the first book only, not the rest of them. So yeah, that's all very successful for me, but what is not successful for me is the map. Now, there is a war on, and so there are lots of talk about like specific regions and, you know, provinces and like geography, and the map does not seem to be accurate at all, because I'm looking at the map a lot in the front of the book and it doesn't make sense with what they're saying about some of the provinces and some of the emperors and some of the plots or the issues. So that's just like a note. I would recommend not glancing at the map actually at all, because it will only confuse you, I think, because it's confusing me, and I've just decided to stop thinking about the map at all, create my own map in my mind based on what they're actually saying and talking about in the book. Anyway, I love a map in a book. I don't know where the disconnect is, obviously, and I never will, and that's fine. And I'm gonna take Carbon to a different park to see if I can get him to run a little bit without the temptation of so many soccer balls around. And then, you know, I'm just gonna keep reading. I'm honestly almost done with the Heart Principle after our morning walk, and I don't know what to say about it except that it's amazing, and I'm having like physical reactions to some of the things that are happening, not in a horny way, just in a like not being able to get the words out to like stop something from happening. Like you desperately need to say something to stop something, and you just like, you can't speak. You're just like, because there's just too much going on, or there's too much in your brain. Like physically makes me feel ill to read that, and I appreciate that. I admire that. Excellent work, Helen Huang, as usual. Okay. We're gonna go. Okay, I'm pretty sure that I am bright red. I just got back from a run. I'm about to take a shower, don't worry, but bless you. I finished the Heart Principle. I can't remember if I said that before, but I did finish it. So that is my second book down, and that was for my Ash Thorn Tree prompt, which was a book that keeps tempting you. And I loved it, to be honest. I think that it was, you know, a romance. It was sexy, it was sweet, but it also, you know, it tackled the hard stuff. But I think a lot of times in a romance, it can feel weird to me for there to be like issues being addressed in addition to the romance and the relationship and like the physical intimacy. Like all of that doesn't always blend together very well for me. It sometimes feel like the issues are being really forced into the story to give it some semblance of substance, when like not everything needs substance, in my opinion. But in this story, like I said, we are following Anna, a violinist who is coming to terms with a diagnosis and dealing with a relationship shifting, I guess. But she has a family emergency, I suppose. I don't want to spoil anything, but something happens within her family, and the way that like, of course, upsets every part of her life. I don't know, I thought it was done very well, and I appreciated that like it's not easy to handle or to necessarily recover from things. And I think that the scope of this book was very well done. Like it took its time. The timeline was stretched out a bit, but yeah, I really liked the relationship. I liked all the story stuff. It was rough, but good. So I actually finished that earlier today before I went on my run. So while I went on my run, I started another audiobook. Which, I mean, I don't think I'll finish today, but that's fine. I started One by One by Ruth Ware, which would fit either my standalone prompt or my mystery/thriller. And I'm kind of, about this one because I know that it's hit or miss. I think everybody, when anybody talks about Ruth Ware on BookTube, I feel like they say it's hit or miss, and I mean, I believe that to be true because I have read 3 of her books. One of them I hated and the other 2 I loved. So I'm interested to see where I fall in regards to One by One. Something I have heard is that it's not so much a thriller as some of her other books, and it's more of just a mystery. So if you were to go into it expecting the thrilling aspects, and in fact it's not like that, you would be really disappointed. But I'm going in just expecting mystery, so if I'm thrilled, fine, and if I'm not, also fine. The premise is there is a little ski chalet in the French Alps, I think, and a startup, like Spotify-esque company is doing like a company retreat there. There's like 10 people, and they're there, and they are all, you know, there's a couple of people who are behaving a little suspiciously already, so I'm sure that they're not going to be guilty of anything, and whatever, I don't know. I think that they just start dying. I think they start getting murdered. It's isolated. They're like way up in the mountains. It seems like there is big snow forecast for them on the horizon for them, so I'm sure they're going to all be trapped there or something. Yeah, I kind of feel like it's like an unwanted guest. Is that the Shari Lupina book I'm thinking of? Anyway, so that's that. And the only other update that I will provide at this time is that it is, oh god, it's 4:15 and I have 150 pages left of The Poppy War, which is technically doable. Yeah, so yeah, the shower and the eating. I did make a lot of the curry that I had for dinner last night, so I'll just be heating some of that up for the rest of the week. And yeah, that's it. So that's my update. It is 8:30 p.m. on Sunday. It's not quite 8:30, to be fair, and I have just finished The Poppy War. I did it. What the heck? Oh my god. Wow. Wow. This was fantastic. The way that the magic system and the like religious spiritual aspects were tied together, I loved. The way that, you know, things are messed up, things are not good, and you know, people can do bad things for good reasons, you know, just like the duality of man, I feel like was really adequately explored in this, and I'm definitely gonna read the rest of them. I can't wait, actually. I will say, just like something of note, just to anybody who has read the book, I chose to eat my dinner while I was reading at potentially the most inopportune moment. The absolute most gruesome and like nauseating part of the whole book is like right where I cracked open right when I sat down to eat dinner. So oops. You know, I still ate my dinner, it was fine, but I was like, ugh. Oh, good boy. Sorry if you could hear Carbon eating his dinner just now, but he was ignoring it for hours at this point, so I'm glad that he finally ate it. Yeah, loved The Poppy War. I will actually just mention also, like, this girl on the cover here has a quiver of arrows and a bow, but I don't think there's even one moment in this book where she uses a bow. Actually, she holds a crossbow at one point, but she actually doesn't fire the crossbow. She just holds it for a moment. So I'm sure she was trained in archery at the school and, you know, many other weapons, but this kind of makes it seem like she's an archery girl, like very Katniss Everdeen. And that's simply not the case. There is an archery girl, but it's not our main character. It's one of her friends. Why is she on the cover? I don't think that's her. Pretty sure it's supposed to be Rin. Anyway, it's like a pretty small qualm to have. Anyway, yeah, I have finished 3 books this weekend. I can't believe I did that in 48 hours. I will say it was a push. I thought that spending 48 hours simply reading and doing nothing else would bring me nothing but peace and joy, but I did find myself getting a little bit antsy at times and wanting to shift gears. So, you know, it was nice that I had to be taking the dog out every now and then and what have you, but I think, you know, doing this readathon while I was also like by myself, it's like I couldn't even talk to anybody to entertain myself for just a moment. I think that that was, you know, a hurdle for me, especially because I have been cohabitating so intensely for, I mean, at least a year now. Like, not only have I been living in this small apartment, just me, Connor, and the dog, but also like we haven't been doing a whole lot because of the pandemic. We've mostly just been hanging out here together. So to spend all this time hanging out here by myself, I think maybe that was more the issue than the reading thing. I think I'm just not used to being by myself. And I think it is in my nature to be reading many things at once. So to start Dorian Gray and just read that straight through to the end, and then start the Poppy War and read that straight through to the end, that was challenging for me. I honestly wish that I had picked them both up at the same time and been able to flip back and forth, because tonally they were different enough that I think that would have been great. That's just been my experience this weekend. As far as book choices go, I loved The Heart Principle, I loved The Poppy War, I liked Dorian Gray, okay, but you know what? As far as Dorian Gray goes, I think that that's a book that I could have dragged out for a long time. Like, that's a book that I could have spent like a whole month reading very slowly, and maybe in that case I don't think that would have made me like it anymore. It might have even made me like it less. So I guess I'm glad that I read it so quickly, because yeah, I didn't drag that out. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this weekend and about the rest of the readathon. I suppose we've reached the end of our journey here together. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you stopping by. Leave me a comment down below if you're doing the Magical Readathon. I'd love to know what you've been reading for it. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.